Andrew Callahan. He's a columnist. He writes about the Patriots for the Boston Herald, and he's in studio with us as he is every Tuesday at this time. Mr. Callahan, hello, sir.
Good morning.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi. Hey, Hardy.
All right. So we've finally saw the Patriots look bad, as they did on Thursday night. You've had time, I'm sure, to watch the film. You've been around the team. What happened? What made that game different than the Cincinnati game and the Seattle game?
So, a couple things. They were outplayed and they were outcoached. So when that happens, you lose 24-3 in what really should have been a worse game. And you heard it from Alex Wimpelt the day after saying, look, like I kind of regretted my game plan. And it wasn't just 7 passes in the first 9 plays, throwing more often than not on first down against a run defense that you watch, Fred, like not very good. Bottom 10 by any metric worth its salt. So they were manhandled up front. That's their only plan. Then you fall behind, and you have Jacoby Brissett getting sacked 5 times. Drake Maye gets sacked twice, and you have the worst pass-protecting offensive line going into that game going, oh, no, we have a new low to hit. And so they're now averaging 10 quarterback hits allowed per game. And the Jets also, I'll say this, they had a different plan for attacking that offensive line. Seattle and Cincinnati, I told you guys last week, blitzed 6 times. They just said, we'll rush forward, we'll get there anyway. They did. The Jets said, no. We're coming after you, and we're going to get more pressure and sacks than they did.
And the Jets are not a blitzing team generally.
Right.
In fact, I think that they blitzed more against the Patriots than they had under that defensive coordinator in his whole time there. And I guess the strategy was right. Yeah, your offensive line sucks and they're inexperienced. Let's take advantage of that.
Yeah, and there were defensive backs coming off the edge, which it's hard to know. Are they attacking their protection rules, knowing which way they would slide, or they just go? So Caden Wallace, let me get this right, is a 3rd-round rookie who played right tackle ever since high school. Now he's your left tackle. Well, yeah, we should probably attack him. And even when it wasn't like a safety blitz that they don't run very often, to your point, it was let's switch the defensive end and the defensive tackle and these stunts and twists and games where that guy, Caden Wallace, does not work with Michael Jordan, a former practice squad player at left guard for very long. So naturally, they're not passing these guys off in split-second timing.
It wasn't just them, though. It wasn't just the left side of the line. It was everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, how are they completely incapable of handling blitz pickup? Well, this goes running backs, too. No one was able to handle it. I'm mystified as to why even the experienced people on that offensive line couldn't deal with it.
Look, it's a good question. And Jacoby Brissett took more sacks against the blitz than he completed passes. Like that's a big problem.
Oh, my God.
And this is the first time they had done that.
You just ruined one of your questions for later.
No, I got some good stats for you here today.
All right.
Oh boy.
But I would say too, to back the Patriots here for a second, if the Jets are doing something they've never done in the last 3.5 years under Robert Saleh, and suddenly spring that on you, not just in a regular game, but a Thursday night game, I would be caught off guard. The problem is you have to dam it up, and they never did.
Yeah,
Okay.
And just the notion that you've got some experience out there when you keep moving guys around. The left tackle position, you wrote about at some point, they've had 4 different guys line up at left tackle in 3 games.
Yep.
That means someone else is lining up in a position, in virtually every other position except for center. It's something different, so there's no consistency. There's no reason not to attack it if you're the Jets, even if you're not a blitzing team. Like, well, let's go after this. What are the odds that someone's going to screw up here because they're playing a position they hadn't played yet this season?
And if you looked at the offensive line preseason, you asked me, okay, what would be something that would take this bad situation? We all look at it. We saw the talent's bad. It's not good enough. That could make this worse. You would say injuries, which have hit. You would say players moving out of position, which have hit. And you would say inexperience and chemistry. We hit all 3. Like, whatever the bingo card is, it's full right now based on disaster for the offensive line, and we're not even in week 4. I think some things will iron themselves out, and I was listening when you guys talked to Tara Sullivan earlier. There's a big shift I think they can make play-calling-wise that would alleviate pressure on this offensive line. So there are answers here that they can go to. There's no guarantee they'll work, but it has to be better than it's been, right?
All right. What do you think they can do play calling wise?
So number one, more quick game. Get the ball out of Jacoby Brissett's hands immediately. Weeks 1 and 2, he was bottom 5 in the league when you clock, the folks at PFF do this, your average time from snap to throw. So how long are you holding on to the ball? And that's not entirely on the quarterback or the offensive line. But to me, if you're holding on to the ball, number one, your receivers aren't open. And number two, they're probably running far downfield because you can't throw it to them. Pop Douglas, this is no coincidence, had a team-high 9 targets in Week 3 when Jacoby Brissett was not bottom 5 in this stat, but was instead top 10. So more quick game. I would say more screens. And I would say mix up when you want to take your play-action shots. Like you saw that first play of the game, Jacoby Brissett, fake handoff left, boots back right, and has a guy in his face because the Jets are waiting 1st and 10, started drives. This is when they take their shots. And he had to settle for a little dump into the flat to Hunter Henry and got crushed for his 1st to 10 quarterback hits. So they need to mix up because defenses the last 2 weeks have had a beat on when they're not running the ball, this is when they want to take their shots.
Okay. So if they do that, then people just can't take the Jets game plan and do the same thing. That you believe that this could be fixed.
I mean, they could take the Seahawks game plan or the Bengals game plan. Those both work pretty well. Not as well as the Jets, but I would say it helps a lot to blitz like they did when you have a Sauce Gardner, right?
Yeah.
And DJ Reed. And you know this team better than the Seahawks and Bengals did because you played them twice a year, even with the new offense. But the Jets run a similar, I would say the bones of their offense are similar to the bones of the Patriots. So they knew what they were looking at even on a short week.
Okay. So with Brissett and him getting hit like this, you heard us talking to Tara Sullivan. Do you think, I mean, it doesn't logically make sense to me if you don't want to play Drake Maye, if everyone is under the assumption that it wouldn't be good for him, to have him this perilously close to being thrust into it without even the preparation. Are you comfortable? I've probably asked you this before, but it gets more and more evident every week. Are you comfortable with the quarterback room for the Patriots, or should they make an adjustment?
Depending on what their options are, I would do my best to add a veteran quarterback there, and if they're interested. And we know certain veteran players with options just say, no thanks. Like Brandon Ayuk doesn't want to be here, Calvin Ridley. Who knows that Ryan Tannehill and Trevor Siemian, obviously not going to be confused with some of the best receivers in the league, feel about New England. I would be on the phone personally because you don't have to take it from me. You can take it from Elliot Wolf. When I talked to him in an exclusive before the season started, he said, quote, we feel this is the worst thing that could happen is you put a guy in before he's ready and then you have to take him out. It can be, quote, counterproductive to their career. So I said, okay, so you don't have this veteran. Why aren't you adding one as a buffer, to your point, to our point? Well, if an injury arose, then Drake is the backup. He'll have to be thrust in there before he's ready, but we do have confidence in him to the point of a veteran quarterback. Jacoby has been pretty durable throughout their career. So, we're confident enough in Drake, and I see the brow furrowing. I don't completely understand.
No, it doesn't logically make sense. The worst thing that we can do is put a kid in and then have to take him out, but we're not going to ensure that doesn't happen. And when you're this team, how, in your opinion, how big a hit is it if they're so in love with Joe Milton? How big a hit is it if they carry 4 quarterbacks? Like, what difference is that going to make with wins and losses? I mean, if you bring in a veteran quarterback, it protects you from the chance of ruining May. So that's a fact. So if you believe that, I mean, they'll play and he won't. So what does that take off your team? And in your opinion, is that roster spot so valuable that they can't possibly give it to a 4th quarterback?
No, not at all. I mean, they have roster spots now dedicated to players because in the same Q&A I had with Elliott, it was, okay, why did you claim these offensive linemen who have never started games before? And they're added to the roster. They're players we wanted to take a look at that we could develop and take time with. Jaheim Bell's a 7th-round tight end. He hasn't caught a pass yet. Marcellus Dial has 2 missed tackles. That's second most in the team. He's a 6th-round rookie corner. He's not really playing defense. They have roster spots for them. I don't know why you couldn't have for a 4th quarterback. And look, I lost my mind very briefly on television the night before I came in here in the morning and said, I would put in Joe Milton before Drake Maye. That is not actually how I feel once I had a second thought, because you can actually play Drake and I think protect his confidence. But what you'll have to do is run a game plan so conservative in my mind that it's counterproductive to your efforts to win.
Yes.
Which then you're caught between...
You're going to lose the locker room.
Right. And you're not going to lose the locker room in a day or a quarter or a half, but this is where they're caught between the long-term vision of we're going to have 5 roster spots for guys who don't even play because it's better in 2025.
You can lose in 3 or 4 games, and that's all it would take. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What did you think when Drake Maye went into the game on Thursday night?
I think he looked like a rookie. I mean, his first...
What did you think? What did you think? Just Drake Maye is going in. What was your thought at that moment?
Oh, God. That was it?
Right.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, God.
And
What are they doing?
Why do you think they did that?
Because they thought it was a chance to get him game reps in a setting that they could kind of control and protect and just let him roll.
They couldn't do either of those two things.
I agree. I saw it.
They couldn't keep his helmet on.
I mean, that was at the end of the
him.
game. How about, what was it, the first or second play where he like spun out of an ankle tackle and got body slammed? I mean, that was right away. That wasn't like, all right, let's warm up.
You know what was even faster than that? The near pick he threw.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the
first play.
The very first play where there happened to be a linebacker.
And that's what
standing next
rookies
to
do.
Gibson.
But if the most important thing is his confidence, right? And he's going to have to make mistakes. He's going to have to get hit. I'm not saying make him the bubble boy and just put him in a corner for the rest of the season. What I'm saying is this situation is not fit for any quarterback, let alone a first-round rookie where you are banking on to return you to relevance over the next 10 years. This is pressure on half of your dropbacks. This is like if I came in and interrupted all of you on half of your points. We would have no show.
It's like David Carr. It's the same thing that happened to David Carr.
There'd be no rhythm. That we couldn't develop any kind of segment or chemistry. That's what's going on through 3 weeks. I think it will get better, but it just got worse before it got better, going from the Seahawks to the Jets.
Well, and also it doesn't make any sense because you put him into a situation like I don't know why they didn't think he was going to get hit when Brissett had been hit 10 times. Like they were having their way with you. They were this. Again, I don't understand why then. And again, I'm like you. I'm like you, Andrew. I'm not against him like getting game reps like at an end of a game just to like put him in. I mean, you see teams do it all the time.
Sure.
I mean, it happened in the Buffalo game that 2 backups come in. One team's getting killed, one team's way up. I mean, you put your backups in. And I get that, but it just that this early in the season in that scenario where a team was just running roughshod all over you, I don't quite understand it.
The decision making makes all of us, I think, in this room stand up and take notice. Okay, we thought these guys had a methodical plan to move forward,
Right.
and then they do this, and you're like, oh boy.
And just real quick, like it wasn't like last night's Buffalo game. Like the Jets weren't up 40 points. Like I know they dominated the game, but it wasn't like they were running away with it so much that they weren't going to do anything. Like they weren't going to. They were going to like let up. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if they blitzed them or not. Or I don't know what they. Okay,
On offense, they called off the dogs, but not the defense.
Right, like it was. You could justify it. Like I mean, if May comes in and scores a quick touchdown, I mean, crazier things have happened than coming back in a game like that. I realize the chances of it are astronomically small, but it wasn't like it was. You know what I'm saying? Like the Jets they weren't making a statement by. It wasn't like Deion Sanders at Colorado, like running up the score. You know what I'm saying?
Well, to me, again, I'm with you. You can give him late game reps. The game's out of hand. Things have been decided. That's fine. What's not fine to me is putting him behind a 4th string left tackle for a team with the worst left tackle situation in the league and a 3rd string left guard who had certain snaps where it's like, what do I do with my hands? This is not, again, to poke fun at guys who were signed to develop here. But development takes time. The Patriots don't have it right now with their offensive line. So to me, that's why you can't look at the talent and be like, oh, we need to change this. You can't. It's the play calling. It's the coaching around it. So your quarterback can just survive.
And not only put him in, but keep him in there for a 4th and 10. And then keep him in there again.
Yeah, that was weird.
I mean, it was just weirdness.
Well, I mean, at that point, you just need to let him play. You're not going to punt from your, opponent's 30-yard line. You know what I mean?
Right. All right.
I don't know why he was in there in the first place. So I guess every decision made after that, it's like, okay, whatever the hell you want to do, because now it's just crazy time.
All right. So Andrew Callahan is here. You can call if you wish. 617-779-0985. We will continue. Hey, we're Toucher and Artie. Andrew Callahan from the Boston Herald is here, as he will be every Tuesday for the season. I forgot to ask the guys to play it, but DeMarcus Covington, the defensive coordinator, was talking to the media, I guess 2 days ago, and they asked what happened on defense, and he was like, well, it wasn't X's and O's. It was missed tackles and fundamentals and things of that nature. Which, do you share that opinion, and do you think that was kind of odd for him? Because Alex Van Pelt said, like, I made mistakes, like, I should have done things differently. And DeMarcus Covington just went, no, like, I was great, essentially. It wasn't anything I did. Did you find that strange at all? And was he right?
He's not entirely right. And talking to some guys around the locker room yesterday, I had questions. I have a column coming out later today about, okay, here are their 4 biggest problems going to week 4 and some fixes. All of them are of the belief that containing the quarterback is the biggest problem. So DeMarcus Covington is likely telling them that because Aaron Rodgers and Geno Smith completed every single pass they ever had outside the pocket against the Patriots. Perfect. 11 of 11. I would argue the play calling when they go to their blitz package is just as big of a problem because the Jets had a success rate over 80%. Anytime the Patriots wanted to send an extra rusher, Rodgers said, that's the guy you need to block. I'll get this out quickly. And they smoked them for 13-something yards per play. The Seahawks did basically the same thing. So it's not that they're blitzing a ton, because they're not. But when they choose to blitz, when Covington's called these blitzes, they're often in high-leverage situations, third downs, red zone, fringe of field goal range before you're trying to keep them out. And Geno Smith and Aaron Rodgers have had no problem with that at all. That means either they're reading it too easily or you're not getting home in a way that you've designed it to free rushers to get in for sacks and pressures. So to me, I think the blitz part is just as big of a problem.
Okay. The missed tackles, though, I mean, those are fundamental things that we saw so much during that game. And I don't know if it was in stark contrast to the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was.
But it was something that you think, well, what's going on with these guys right now? Was it the short week? We talked about this, I think, last week when you were in, how the defense is going to be behind the 8 ball on these short weeks from the Sunday to the Thursday turnaround. If one side of the ball is going to be more tired and less ready to go, it's going to be on defense. But I'm thinking, sitting at 1-1, and how they had played against the Seahawks, I don't think it's a question of like effort or heart or engagement. They just look like they weren't ready.
Crap.
I couldn't figure out. It's like, how is everybody this bad at the fundamental task of tackling a runner?
Yeah, I don't know, because I will say this was their highest missed tackle total for a single game in the last 3 years. Tied for it, 12 whiffs. To me, that's an outlier. I think more often than not, they're a better tackling team. They're often one of the best tackling teams in the league. So whether it was a short week or whatever it was, Jabril Pepper said after the game, yeah, we weren't always hustling out there. To me, if that's true and that happens again, especially Sunday, okay, now you have a problem, whatever the missed tackle total is, because you just need to get to the ball. And that's a Jets offense that you have one guy in Garrett Wilson who forced one missed tackle, and that was it. And that's kind of the only guy you need to worry about in the passing game. Then it's all bodies to Breece Hall. And yet, because they were missing these tackles, Next Gen Stats said they gave essentially 100 extra yards to the Jets because they didn't wrap up. Now, you're going to miss 4, 5, 6, maybe sometimes 8. So maybe they get 50 or 60 anyway. But when you're the Patriots and you're not throwing for 100 yards, you can't give 100 yards to the other team because you just don't wrap up. I just do think it will ultimately be an outlier because of how good they've been historically.
All right. How much better will they be when they get all of these players back? You can start with the offensive line. You had Verdarian Lowe and City So at practice yesterday. It looks like So is ahead of Lowe, but even if you placed them on the offensive line, they were the projected starters. How much better is that line? And you have guys that are at varying degrees of return coming off of injured reserve. How much better will this team get when they're healthy?
I wish I knew. Can we sit for a second, though, and imagine being Vidarian Lowe, the poster child for like all of the dung we want to sling at the Patriots offensive line for being bad, and the week he's out after averaging 4 pressures allowed per game, everyone's like, please come back. We miss you.
Yeah,
oh, my God.
Point. He's not very good, and he is the savior.
Right, and he's their best option right now. The first guy left. The third guy who came in after him is a third-round rookie we talked about, only plays right tackle. And then the fourth guy is someone they didn't even want to play this year. Like that, you need him. So how much better will it get? I don't know, because Nick Bosa's coming up on Sunday. And whether it's Vidarian Lowe or Caden Wallace, the Patriots are going to have a big, big problem. And then you've got good rushers from Miami and Houston after that, and the Jets are coming up later. Like, it could get better. I think it will, but it won't be because the talent changes or honestly guys come back from injury. It will be play calling, screens, quick passes, just plays that don't put as much stress on them to do their jobs.
Okay, so the 49ers are at home. They're coming off 2 losses. They're real banged up. Ayuk hasn't been very good this year. At least he doesn't have statistics. I can't tell you how he's been playing. I don't watch all 22. Only study the Patriot games, all 20. No, I don't do any of them. But from what you've seen from the 49ers and what you've seen from the Patriots, can this be another game like Seattle or Cincinnati? Or are the 49ers so, even with the injuries, so far and away? And by the way, McCaffrey's going to Germany to get his Achilles looked at.
Not going to see him anytime soon.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out what's going on. He had to go to Germany to do that.
Why is it always Germany? Right?
I didn't even know it was always Germany. There must be. Is it always Germany?
Well, the only, I guess it's not. Kobe went to Germany once, right? Or there's like platelet injections once upon a time.
I think Tiger.
Yeah, I was just going to say Tiger did that
It's
too.
always Germany.
Yeah, it's Germany.
Yeah.
You want to know why?
I go to Mexico.
I got a buddy who's done that.
Oh, sure.
A couple of times for a
All my
shoulder.
plastic surgery?
No, he goes down there for some shoulder thing that he said if he wanted it done in the States, it would cost him $50,000, and he gets it done in Mexico for $8,000.
That's where you want to cut corners, is when it comes to your health.
His own primary, his own surgeon told him, he said, don't do it here, go to Mexico, and they gave him the name of the clinic.
Oh.
Well, that's a good surgeon. He's like, oh, listen, you don't need me.
Yeah.
It's just you're just throwing money away on me. You go down to Mexico.
Get the bargain basement. Sir.
Right, exactly. I just charge as much as I can. It's not like I have any kind of real expertise.
Get the guy who isn't as good as me.
I don't believe that your friend's doctor told him that. How about that? No, I believe you. But I
You
don't.
think my friend is lying to me?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
All right.
because he knew that you would be so worried if he didn't. If I don't believe anyone's primary care physician said go to Mexico and get this procedure done. It doesn't matter who does it.
Okay. I'll find out more information. I'll
Yeah,
get more
really
information.
grill him. Really lay into him.
I will.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, we have that type of relationship. But the reason why they go to Germany is here, patients have become too empowered. You're your own best advocate. You know, asking questions, all that. You go over to Germany and you start asking questions, and we will be asking the questions.
Oh, he went Hogan's Heroes on you.
Everybody loves that reference.
You know what the star of Hogan's Heroes loved to do? Tape himself having sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a big fan of it. So was Jethro Bodine from the Beverly Hillbillies.
I didn't know Shannon Sharp was in Hogan's Heroes.
Shannon Sharp's selling merch now based on that. Based on him.
Shelley, is that what it is? Like something to do with the girl's name?
I don't
She's
know.
got to be thrilled with that.
If you don't know what we're talking about, Shannon Sharp went on Instagram Live, but with no video, while he was reportedly, he claims, having sex with a woman. And for some reason, this was supposed to be like the audio of him having sex was supposed to be embarrassing. That I don't understand that at all. If the minute I find out there's no video, I don't care what I don't believe for 2 seconds he didn't know that was being taped now.
He sounds like a Bronco. Like he sounds like the team he played.
Well, he looks like a Bronco,
Yeah.
too. He's admitted it. He said it's the most majestic of all animals. When we had a caller, he said, you look like a horse. And he said, yeah, I do. It's the most majestic of all animals. So he does. He sounds and looks like a Bronco. It's a fetish that these women have. All right, what were you asking about football? Going to Germany. All right, so he's going to Germany. So I was asking the question, actually.
It was about San Francisco.
Christian
Whether or not
McCaffrey's
they're
going to
be
Germany.
better.
No, but that wasn't the question. That
Achilles
was just
tendonitis specialist.
Oh,
Like,
no.
how many
Will
specialists
the
do they have?
Patriots have a spot like they did against Seattle or Cincinnati or San Francisco just too good?
So it's Tuesday morning, right? I don't know. But there is a path I could see where they follow the same formula. You've had extra time to prepare for this 49ers offense. George Kittle might be out again. Deebo Samuel could be out again. Brandon Ayuk, Fred, in case you were wondering, has not been playing particularly well. So there are threats here. Like, they're racking up yards like it's nobody's business. But they gave a game away at L.A. where they had a home crowd that just flew south for the weekend. Okay, they'll be at home. They're 10.5-point favorites. First time, or it's only the fifth time the Pats have been 10.5-point underdogs this century. So it's a huge task ahead of them. But I think if they do get the early lead, they get a turnover, they can do this. I think ultimately, though, the talent is the talent. 49ers are desperate, and they'll pull away late. But it's Tuesday. We'll see how this goes.
Okay, so Shanahan is a great coach. How important is it for Mayo to stay in this game? Like, can you see a scenario where Mayo is like kind of embarrassed? You said that they were outcoached against the Jets, which is difficult because it's not like that's a well-oiled operation over there. So is there a scenario where, like, how does Mayo have to show? Like, he can't get thoroughly outcoached in this game, can he? Or what are the repercussions
If
of that?
they want to win? No.
No, but say they lose, but there's two kinds of way of losing. Like, if they're in the game and they lose, they're 10.5-point dogs. Like, it could be a moral victory at this point. If he's just they're dominated, and it's just like Shanahan, when he's considered by one of the best coaches in the NFL, and he's just kind of doing whatever he wants, is there a scenario where you're worried Mayo starts losing the team? Like, everything's so tenuous right now. Mayo starts losing the team. Do you see him getting outcoached to that degree?
I can see that. I will say this Niners offense thrives on yards after the catch. And that's how they got their free money. We will design plays, get players in space, let them take care of the rest. They're not doing that right now. So for the Patriots' issues missing tackles, like, that might not come up as much as it used to in any other year against the Niners. I will push back, though, on the idea that this is all so tenuous after 3 games, because it is September. If they lose to the Niners, as we expect, by 2 scores or whatever it is, and then come back and beat Miami, who's dealing with plenty of quarterback problems at home, you're looking at a 2-3 start where Vegas is going, how do the Patriots have half the wins we expected them to have for the entire season, and we just got through week 5? Like, we talk about how week to week this is. I don't expect them to win in San Francisco. And to me, that's fine if they lose. You don't want to see them get out coached or outworked. The bigger issue for me would be outworked and out hustled, because to me that would reflect a lack of buy-in that Mayo has.
That's what I'm saying, and I don't mean tenuous like he's going to lose the locker room next week. I'm talking about with a new coach, any new coach, and especially given this situation with this lack of talent and replacing who he's replacing. I'm always afraid for rookie head coaches, because we've talked to guys. Remember Aqib Talib? Who was the coach?
Vance
Joseph.
Vance Joseph. We asked him.
He said the first meeting we know it happened with Patricia too.
Right.
We've literally heard now of two coaches that the very first meeting that they had with the team, they lost the room, and the players were like, Aqib Talib told us, he's like, this guy's an idiot. Like, I'm not going to pay any attention to him. They all made that decision immediately. So we know from ex-players, as you probably do too, that a new coach, it's no joke. Like, you can lose that room quick. And so that would just be my fear.
Yeah, I would say 2 things, though, quickly on that. One, everything we've heard, and this is not to say players would talk ill of their boss in public because they're not that stupid, has been not just positive about Gerard Mayo. It's been overwhelmingly positive. And even after that win, being like, we've seen him come into his own as a head coach. We'll run through a brick wall. He's doing player podcasts, all this different stuff. And that was amid and then after a really hard training camp. Like, you're going to get your ass to the hill. You're going to run this after a 2.5 hour practice and do more conditioning, and they did it. Number 2, unlike Matt Patricia and Vance Joseph, he was here to build up equity and belief in-house, especially with that defense, to say, when you do what I say, when you fulfill these game plans and run these drills, we will have the best defense in the league, as they did by EPA, for a 5-year span from 2019 to 2023. That's not just, okay, I'm going to believe because I have to. You're the new guy in charge. That's, I know this works, at least on defense. And the rest, as we know, is up to Alex Van Pelt on offense.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.